Hello everyone, today's video is a little bit different. I'm going to show you how to draw a perspective. The first two things you will need are a pencil and just a scale ruler. I have just written on here the scale that I'm going to be working at, so I thought I would just draw a very simple room, 2 meters length by 2.3 meters height, and I'm doing my entire drawing in pencil first. What I usually do is I align the ruler with the edge of the sheet and draw a line. Sorry, my camera keeps being out of focus. After I have drawn this line, I just line my ruler up to that line and draw another line. And then I do the same thing one more time. This is probably not the best way of doing it, but I just like to have my drawing lined up to the paper. And then I find the middle of the page just by measuring it. And then from this point, I'm going to go a meter each side. The scale rulers work in millimeters, so 1 meter is 1,000 millimeters. And then on this side, I'm going to draw the 2 meter mark. I am actually going to be making the height 2 meters just so that it fits on my page. But a ceiling height in real life of 2 meters is quite unrealistic. Usually it would be about 2.3 meters. I'm just going to mark the 2 meters, and this drawing doesn't need to be neat at all because we are going to be tracing over this. So then in order to create 90-degree lines, I use a ruler like this, and I just connect the points. Then I'm just going to mark the 2 meters on this side again, and placing my ruler along the line. So now you have this square here, which is going to make up the back side of your room. Now we have got to find the vanishing point, which is usually at a height of 1.6 meters. So on a scale of 1 to 10, it's 1,600 millimeters. I lined it up with the middle point that we created earlier. So I've just made that line in order to make sure that this is in the middle of the square. Now all the lines you're going to be drawing are going to be going through this point. So what that means is, for example, this line goes through here and through that corner. We've got to do this with all 4 corners and just make sure that it's really going through this point. You could even literally just draw a line to go through there. But what I usually do is, because the drawing will end up quite cluttered, I don't draw these lines in. So that is the room setup finished. Now the next thing is actually quite difficult to show you. So we need another point just the same height as this, but very far away to this side, and it needs to be off the page. I usually use another sheet of paper, so that is why I've got this set up so weirdly, so that you can see. And you want it to be about triple the distance of this. So what I mean by that is this distance is 1 meter, and then just add double the distance on top, so that's 2 meters, 3 meters. Just make a little mark at 3 meters. The reason why we need this mark is so that we can create distances for furniture on the actual floor, but I will show you what I mean in a second. So the first line you're going to be doing from this point needs to go through here and through this corner. So basically you're drawing a line like this. So that was actually all we needed this point for. I'm going to show you now why we needed to do this. First I'm just going to finish up drawing this line. And now I'm going to do marks along the floor line here every 200 millimeters, so that is 20 centimeters. So at 200, at 400, 600. And now I'm going to connect all these lines along here to this vanishing point. So I'm basically going to go through here, through the marking that we've made, and taking it all across the floor. And I'm going to be doing that with all the marks I've made here. Just make sure that it goes through that point and this point. So like this. Then you should be left with something like this. And as I said, it doesn't need to be neat at all for now. So the reason we did all of this is so that we know the distance into the room, because on this wall we can just simply measure. This, for example, is 1 meter, so 1000 millimeters. But on this wall we can't just simply measure 300 millimeters and then just assume that it is 300 millimeters, because everything going that way is going to be a little bit distorted. So in order for us to find out the real distance, we had to do all these steps, and now we have to draw horizontal lines wherever these two lines are crossing. So here, 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 here. Just ignore the horizontal lines. As a matter of fact, we can probably erase those. And I'm using this again just to make sure that all the horizontal lines we're drawing are actually lined up correctly. So I'm just lining this up with the edge of the paper, drawing a line down here through that point, and then I'm just going to line my ruler up with this line and just finish drawing the line. To be honest, for a lot of this I just use this huge ruler, so I'm just doing this because I can't reach this point with this ruler. So that is this done, and because we use 20 centimeters or 200 millimeter increments here, these increments here are also 200 millimeters or 20 centimeters. So I will just write that down. That one increment here is 20 centimeters. So this is 20, this is 40, this is 20, 40, 62 meters. So this is the basic setup of a page, and whenever you want to draw furniture, it's quite easy to draw them on the back wall, because you can just take your measurements. For example, if it was 1 meter, measure it on this wall. I'm just going to put some measurements down the back wall. So now I'm just going to be drawing a sideboard, and I have decided that it's going to be 1.2 meters in width or in length. This is going to be a bit hard to see, so I'm just going to use a text marker, but I would recommend to keep using a pencil. So this is 1.2 meters, then the height I want to be 700 millimeters. But first I'm just lining up this ruler with this edge just so that I can draw a 90 degrees angle. And now I'm actually measuring the 700 millimeters, and I'm going to do the same on this side. So this now is the back of our console table. I want the depth of this to be 80 centimeters, just to make it a little bit more easy, because we can literally just use this line. So again, just to make it easier to see, I'm just using this highlighter. And because we work with the grid, I already know that it's going to go up until here. So that is the base of the sideboard. So what I now need to do is I need to go through this point and through these corner points of the console table in order to find out my front points. So I'm going through there and through that point, and I just drew a very long line. What you then can do is just draw a straight line from this point up to this line. This is the front point. You can then go ahead and just erase the rest of this line. But as I said, this drawing doesn't need to be very neat. So again, you need to go through this point and then through the corner point, and I'm just going to draw a long line so that I can make sure that when I connect the lines, it is actually connecting with a point from here. So now I'm just going to draw a line from this point up until the line, and where they connect, that is where the console table ends. And then I'm just connecting those two lines. Ideally, I'm just going to line them up again. And this is a simple console table done. I think in order to not overwhelm you, I will just show you how to draw a window next. And I think we will just leave it at that for now. I think I will make the window about 1 meter by 1 meter, and I want it to be on this wall. I'm just measuring out from the floor to where I'm going to start the window. I'm going to leave about 80 centimeters, so 800 millimeters, and then I'm just going to draw 1 meter from there, and I'm going to do another mark. Then I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap on the wall. So I'm just indicating that as well. And now I can just go through this point and the point that I have indicated on the wall. Just like that. And this is where the window ends. So I'm just going through that point and that point again. So everything you do on a drawing, you reference to this point. It always needs to go through this point. Let's just draw a straight line. So I did say I wanted the window to be 1 meter by 1 meter, so now I need to measure 1 meter on here. And because I've done the floor markings, so this is 20 centimeters, and each are 20 centimeters, I can just go from the markings on here to see what is 1 meter. So 80 centimeters would be here, 1 meter would be around here, because these points are nearly gonna cross. This is not the most precise, but this is absolutely fine. So I will just go from that point down there and go up high and just connect it. So this is a window that is 1 meter by 1 meter, and you can kind of see how distorted it is just because of the perspective. And that is also the reason why you can't just simply measure from down here. So the window obviously has some depth to it. So I'm just going to draw some straight lines. I'm making it about 10 centimeters on a scale of 1:10 deep. And then I'm going to go through this point and this end point here. So this is the finished window, but if you want to make it more realistic, you could always just add some glass into it, which I'm just quickly going to do. So that is the perspective finished. You can always add more furniture. Just make sure that you always reference it back to this point, which is the vanishing point. But I just want to keep it nice and simple so that it's easy to follow. And I feel like I have been talking for quite a while. So if you have any other questions about how to do specific furniture, or if you just want me to do a perspective that has a lot more detail in it, then please let me know. This is just a very basic tutorial. The last thing we're going to do now is to actually neaten up this drawing, and what you will need for that is some tracing paper. You can just put your sheet on top. Ideally you would want some masking tape to tape these sheets together, but I'm going to be honest, all I have is some tape. I ran out of masking tape because you do need it quite a lot in first year. So then what you will be needing is some sort of fine liner, and I quite like to work with a 0.3 fine tip, but you could just work with any fine liner you like, and then you can just use any ruler you want and you just draw along all the lines you have created on your pencil drawing. What I actually like to do is I like to draw all the horizontal lines first from the top down, and then I like to shift my paper and draw all the vertical lines. Also, one tip when you lift your ruler, make sure that you're lifting it so that it doesn't smudge. Yeah, that's the perspective drawing done. I'm going to take this off this sheet now so that you can see it a little bit better. But then as a last step, what I would usually do is I would go to a photocopier and I would scan this and print this onto normal paper, and then you can go into colour this, which is called rendering in interior design. So that is this very basic drawing done. So this is a drawing I did for my last project, and you can see it's very similar to this. I've based this drawing on this drawing right here. This is how I rendered it. I'm really not the best at rendering. I'm still improving and getting better, but if you do want to see a tutorial on this, do let me know. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was informative, and I will see you very soon with another video. Goodbye.